Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Hey Everybody podcast. I'm Stephen Hensley, the owner of SCH Real Estate here in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I got an awesome guest today, John Sherrod. Welcome, John. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Stephen, it's actually Sherrod, but I never, correct anybody anymore, but that's fine.
Is it really?
It is, yeah.
Man, so this whole time we've been saying your name wrong. You've never corrected us.
Yeah, I kind of got tired of correcting everyone, so I just let everyone kind of go with it. And then I just get excited when someone can pronounce my name correctly.
Well, I feel like Rod's just got a manly ring to the back of it, right? John Sherrod right there. It sounds a little more strong, you know?
John with a rod. I got you.
Yeah. But man, thanks for joining us. I know we got a lot to talk about today, and I think a big topic, what I'd like to kind of start off with is obviously you're a real estate agent, here on our team in Knoxville, Tennessee. But you are very well traveled, lived in several different places and places where actually a lot of people have migrated here to East Tennessee from, including yourself, obviously. So I'd like to kind of, DC, just start off with that. I mean, talk to us there about, some of the difference there of the, what a Las Vegas market and a Florida market that you come from kind of compare. Let's get some thoughts on that.
Yeah. So my wife and I bought our first house in 2015 in Las Vegas, and that town was just recovering from your real estate market crash. Las Vegas and Orlando, or Nevada and Florida, were the states that were largely hit by, the real estate market crash. And we ended up buying our first house in 2015 for $220,000. And if we would have got out there a year before, it was $160,000. And we just couldn't believe how fast we were talking about moving from South Lake Tahoe in 2014. By the time we got there, the market had already gone up 50 or 60,000. And we made it there. We bought our house, and that was great. And then we sold it 4 years later for $300,000. So the market fully recovered. And then, of course, COVID came in, of course, did what it did, which was drove a lot of people out of your major towns and cities and moved them to, back to the South. And that's what my wife and I did. And we came out to Knoxville in 2020. But the market was so strange. It was dead on arrival in 2010, 2011, 2012. Then it started coming back in Las Vegas, and the market, the prices started coming up and up and up. And then it kind of went wildfire for a while. And it was easy. I think we sold our house. Our first house we bought, I think we sold it was like a week or two. We were in contract. And then when we sold our second house to move out to Knoxville, I think we were in contract within 20 or 30 days. So it felt like it was pretty normal. And then it peaked in COVID, right after COVID, 2021, 2022, when the rates were 2.5%. I mean, it went up, I think, everywhere, 300,000 for all the houses. So, and then, the Las Vegas market is so much different from Las Vegas because you can get the same type of house, but actually getting land, a quarter acre or something like that in Las Vegas. And everyone knows, like the West Coast, it's just a lot harder. So you get more of an eighth of an acre with the nice house instead of the quarter acre. But it was such a unique experience moving out here. And then we kind of caught the tail end of this swing too, because we bought in 2021 in Knoxville. We started renting in 2020, and we caught the tail end of the really good interest rates. But the houses had already gone up like 100,000 or 150,000. So we've kind of caught the tail end of all these crazy trends that have happened, for Las Vegas and now Knoxville. But yeah, my perspective is pretty unique on it just from what I've seen.
I mean, you time it up. Real estate's one of those industries you can always look back, and if everyone knew what was going on at that time by looking back, there's a lot of people that look like geniuses and idiots, right? Mm-hmm. And man, to hit it on kind of the good side and come out good like you did is impressive. And a lot of people during that time that did it, especially, if you bought around the Knoxville area. I think when the data came out, there was some data a couple months ago I seen, and I think basically from 2019 through 2025, the Knoxville, Tennessee area had increased 86% in price, the highest in the country, which is wild. And during those times, man, around here and being an agent, getting my license in 2018, which was like, I'll just say healthy market, right? Nothing crazy. And then to ride the train of, hey, pulling up to a house, seeing 30 vehicles, the house having 5 offers on it within 5 minutes of being on the market. It was just insane. So you're even lucky to have gotten a house. So when did you actually get your real estate license?
So I got my license in February of 2024. So just a little
2024. So when you bought here in 2021, what was that experience like? Because it's one of those, like, unless you lived it, you feel like people are exaggerating the chaos.
It was brutal. So we rented in 2020, and I believe the people we rented from, they built the house for about, I think, $410,000. And the other neighbors that we were next to that we got to know, Matt and Natasha, they built their house a year before that for like $340,000. So within a year or two, it already had gone up like $100,000 quickly. And the experience when we were ready to buy in 2021 was terrible. Every house we went to, like you said, we'd pull up to a house, they'd have multiple people there. They already have 2 or 3 offers. And we'd have to ask the question like, hey, are these offers already over listing? Most of the time, the answer is yes. And also the other problem on the back end was, are these going to appraise? And most of the time, the answer to that one is no. So you had the people coming out of pocket $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 over listing and over appraisal, whatever it came into, and their down payment, closing costs. And my wife and I were like, well, this isn't even fun anymore. This went from enjoyable, like we get to see more of the town, like maybe we want to live here, we want to live there, to everywhere we pulled up that we liked. It was like it wasn't even possible for us. And we had cash. We had a pretty good chunk of cash from selling our house. So it wasn't like we came in there, house broke and we were doing, just a few percentage down and hoping for all the closing costs to be covered. We actually had a little bit of cash, and it still wasn't fun at all. And we got lucky and bought our house with Ball Homes. And we were actually going against 4 different offers. We had an escalator that moved us up about, I think it was about 8,000 or 9,000 over what the house was listed for. And then we did an I love you letter, one of the love letters, like, hey, we rented in the neighborhood. We love this area. We've got, one kid and another kid on the way. And we ended up winning the bid, and that was great. And we were so grateful for that, because now our house has gone up since they finished the neighborhood. It was a newer neighborhood. They finished the neighborhood, and now the house has gone up $150,000, and we caught the end of 2.75 interest rates. So we have the $2,000 mortgage, which is what average rent is right now in Knoxville. And I think across the U.S., I think it's still $1,800 to $2,100 right there. So we just got really lucky. We caught our first house at a lucky swing. We sold it. We bought our second house in the same type of swing, got lucky. And then we bought our third one. And we just got lucky. And, like you said, timing is everything. And that's also kind of brings me into a topic. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I have a lot of people that are kind of thinking like, hey, kind of want to buy. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with the market. The real estate agent in me is like, please buy instead of renting. But I have to kind of pull that one back and go back, put myself in their shoes and go, can you stomach, a rent at 5 or 6% interest rates? I mean, a mortgage at that time. And if you can, it might be worth it to you. But just because my experience has been so lucky timing wise, I'm a little bit more biased on purchasing something because it's helped my family tremendously. So it was a very unique experience for a period of about 6 years of buying and selling and navigating through COVID and dealing with 2.5% interest rates and then watching them skyrocket to 7.5%. It was wild.
I'll give you a few little blips of some horror stories that what I experienced. Most offers are ever seen on a house, which I was helping a buyer, 62 offers on one house. I could even imagine being a listing agent and trying to go through 62 offers to present the best offers to the seller. It's nearly impossible. The next blurb, I remember being with a buyer in Sevierville, right? So obviously Sevier County during COVID made Airbnb #1 market in the country, just exploded there, especially the bonus depreciation during the time. So for the investors, it was a great move. Was 150,000 over asking, no contingencies, and lost on an offer up there. And then the last one you mentioned, a Ball Homes. So this is what Ball Homes new construction did during that time. It was a lottery system. I remember being with clients. You had to put your name in. You had to submit and get pre-approved with their mortgage company before, even to get in the call for the lottery system. And what they did was, at the time, there was like 60 people on the call. There was only, this is in Laurel Ridge there in Hardin Valley, so prime location, prime subdivision. And there was only like 20 lots getting released, 60 people on the call, and they just drawed names out. And when you draw your name, you instantly had to pick your lot number, and that's how they did it during COVID. How nuts that process was from 2021 to what it obviously was before and what it's back to now.
Yeah, back to being on, putting myself in, my buyer's shoes, which I was there just a few years ago. It's brutal. That is brutal. That is like you're just hoping your number is getting picked out of a hat so you can get a house. And if not, you're going to continue renting because there's nothing to go towards unless you're willing to go $30,000, $40,000 over listing, plus your down payment, plus closing costs. They're not going to give you anything. So yeah, I mean, that's just putting myself on the other side is realizing like that is brutal. The market, we watch this market skyrocket. And what happened to my house that I sold in Las Vegas will make you sick. If I would have known COVID was coming, like the 100-year flu, we would have just held on to our house because we bought for $425 in 2019 because this was our dream home. We were, my wife was pregnant with our first son. He was due December 1st in December of 2019. We bought that summer, had no idea we were going to go into this COVID thing. It's going to shut everything down. We were going to be in Knoxville next year. Had no idea. We were like, you know what? We'll buy the house we love. We can grow into it. We'll have 2 kids and that'll be fine. Well, we bought for $425. We ended up selling at the end of 2020 for $450. And we're like, we actually made our money back in just a couple dollars. I was like, that's a dream scenario to buy and sell within 6 months, get your money back and be fine. So we got that. And that was excellent. And then 2022 hit and the interest rates were 2.5%. And then inventory was extremely low in Las Vegas. My house that I sold soared to almost 800,000. I was just watching it every month going, I could have been borderline. I don't know. I could have been really well off of one house. I mean, who would have known? Who would have known, right? Yep. And that was just such a unique scenario. It kind of smacked me around. So when it started happening, when we were in Knoxville, where people were going over and the market was going crazy, it kind of gave me that. I was getting a little gun shy, and it kind of gave me the anxiety of, man, I almost feel like I'm back doing this again, like I did in 2019, where the scenario might not be favorable. But I was lucky enough to actually get that house with a good rate. And man, I'm so glad. But I do feel bad for all the people that were going, the market's too high in 2021 or 2022. Yep. We'll wait till it cools off. Well, 2026, it hasn't. And now interest rates are 5% higher. So it's kind of unique what we watch as consumers, but also now being in the business and what I know now. It's a unique perspective to have both to fit in both pairs of shoes, I guess I would say.
Yeah. So you mentioned there got your license, in 2024 here. So, I mean, what kind of made you want to pursue real estate?
So I had a very well-off career in the residential solar energy sector. Like that was my thing. A lot of door-to-door, worked with some of the big brands, Solar City, which was actually a Tesla sub company at the time, Sunrun. I actually worked for Ion Solar, and they were big on the door knocking side. So I had this pretty solid career. Really what derailed it was COVID. A lot of things changed when it came to door knocking, in-home appointments. So I've always felt really comfortable in home with people in their environment. That was easy for me because I enjoyed that. I looked at real estate in 2016 and I almost joined Keller Williams in Las Vegas. And I just had such a good career, at least that I thought had a very bright future. I was like, okay, if I get into real estate down the road, that will be my finishing career. But right now, this is flourishing. Why walk away? I still got to be able to get better every single day. And I still have room to grow. I wanted to be in leadership, and I did end up getting there. What derailed it heavily was COVID changed everything. Ended up leaving Las Vegas and getting recruited for a startup company here in Knoxville, which is a residential solar company. That company did really well. We flourished. And then just unfortunately, the financial side of that company kind of internally tumbled. And as that was happening, kind of the light bulb went off again. It's like, okay, I talked about real estate back in 2016. It's now 2021, 2022. Things are not looking the greatest. What am I going to do again? And now that answer brought me right back to real estate. And I knew if I got into it and I actually put my all into it, it was going to be the end of my career. Like that was what I was going to pursue. It was all a timing thing, just like buying houses is timing. But for me to get a license, I didn't want to do it until I was 100% in and ready. And when I did, I haven't looked back at all. I've always felt like this is my career. This is my calling. This is what I want to do. So, it's just something that's been around for a while.
So I know you got in real estate and you have a very unique background that not a lot of even buyers know about when they get into it. Really, even education of agents is probably not what it should be on the new construction side, right? So you kind of worked with a builder there initially getting your license, which we work with, I'll just kind of say like all the builders, right? In a roundabout way, we kind of know their business model. We know how their contracts works. We know how their inventory works. And most people do not, but I think that gives you kind of a very unique skill set and an advantage because that side of the business, when in reality, a lot of times those new construction homes are cheaper than the ones on the market. So kind of talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So my wife and I always looked at homes. We didn't really have a unique background. It's funny. All my brothers and family members and everything, they know everything about homes. I don't know anything. So I always looked at a home as like, I need one. I got to live in one. I want to own one, but I would much rather have something that maybe a little bit lower maintenance. So we kind of steered more towards new construction. Anyway, our first house that we bought in 2015 was a 2010. And that very low maintenance. And we loved that. Everything was new. Your roof was only 4 or 5 years old. Everything was in great shape. Our second house was the same thing. I think it was built in 2018 and we bought it in 19. So it was a fairly new home. And then the house we rented here in Knoxville was brand new by Ball Homes. It was in that same neighborhood that we bought. And then we bought new. So I always just kind of gravitated more towards lower maintenance and knowing if you're not a big home person, like you don't love to do, maintenance projects and things like that. Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of us out there. You want to be able to work, take care of your family and not constantly worry about your home. That's what drove my wife and I towards new construction. And when I do have buyers that aren't even thinking about it, I'll usually give them that idea. Like, hey, have you ever looked at new construction? And most of the time they're like, no, we didn't even think about it. And I was like, well, your budget and what you're looking for might be good for it. Let's take a look. And then once they have come along that path with me, I've just shared my experience of like, listen, I haven't had a lot of issues. If there's anything going on, the house is fairly new. Maintenance is a little bit easier. And this town gets warm and it gets cold. So, your HVAC systems are new, your water heaters are new. There's a lot of good things that kind of take your mind off of, the panic of home buying. And that's that's what's helped my wife and I, and it's actually helped a few clients for me that I've shared my experience with. And they're like, okay, let's look in this direction. It's worked out great for them. So that's kind of like my 2 cents is I don't want to worry too much about the house. That's why it's driven me towards that direction.
I know a lot of people where they get confused, the new construction, they think, construction loan, 20% down, crazy 9-month build time and like all these special things. When in reality, if you're actually buying from the, what is going to call them like the spec builder type homes, right? You're using a regular home. You can go FHA on these homes. If it's in an area to go USDA, you can go USDA. You can go conventional 3% down. If you can buy some conventional loans, portfolio loans, 100% down, you can buy these brand new homes with little to no down payment. And not that 20%, which ends up being a really, really good deal, especially now with inventory kind of on the rise here and the market being slower. I mean, these new construction builders, they're offering rate buy downs. They're offering closing cost there, which I think is a huge win. And not a lot of buyers know about those things.
They don't. And that is something that I've brought up. I said, listen, I mean, if we are possibly looking at new construction, first, let's find you the house and make sure you can find, you can live there. But the biggest thing, let's talk to their lenders, see what they have going on, because they always do. Ball homes, it's like 2% towards closing costs. I know some of the other builders, they offer $10,000 in flex cash. And that's what kind of separates our market versus the Las Vegas market and probably Orlando as well, is those national builders, a lot of your big builders are buying down the rate on the front. So, I mean, I know in Las Vegas right now, some of them are offering 2.99, 3.99 on interest rates on their homes. And it's like, how can you, if you can afford the house and you like it, how can you even pass that up?
Yeah.
Now here, I don't see too much of the rate buy downs and I might be wrong. I don't know if you have, but I see more of the flex cash for closing costs around Knoxville. But you look at places like Orlando and Las Vegas. I mean, some of these builders are starting at 2.99. So not only are you getting a brand new home that you don't really have to worry about too much. I mean, not saying there's things you got to worry about, of course, but not only are you not worrying too much because it's new, now you could get a 2.99 or a 3.99 rate, which we might not see for years, if ever again.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I can never say like, oh, we're going to see 2 or 3% interest rates again, because I just don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it follows something tragic, like a housing market crash or a COVID. So you know what? I don't know if I even want to see it.
Yeah.
So if I see it again, that means something bad happened. And I don't want to be a part of that either.
So, I mean, kind of with our market right now, and it's, you've been here now for a couple of years, and it's kind of just been a very steady, certain price points, certain areas, certain types of homes. Sellers are still getting some good money for their homes. Other areas, price points, home condition, sellers are getting beat up. But timing wise, right, we are now here in April, which nationally doesn't matter where your market is. Spring is here. Q2 is here. This is when the most real estate transactions happen. So buyers that are now entering the market, I know we've talked just in the last couple of weeks and months for some scenarios. I mean, just talk about how the market's changed, even since you've joined our team, when you first joined, to now seeing this spring rush of the multiple offers and the craziness, right? And it's not to the extreme of nothing what it was, but it's back. It's what's crazy.
Absolutely. It is 100% back. So I joined the team, SCH Realty, back in October. So, we're crawling into the end of the season where it's starting to get slow, and a lot of buying power. So, I mean, you had pretty much wherever you wanted to go. And you were probably able to get a little bit of money off, maybe some closing costs, maybe both. That was lucky for you. And then, of course, we go through the winter, and the winter is always the winter. And anybody watching this right now will know, that's in the industry, will know exactly what we're talking about. But then the last 3 or 4 weeks, the pop of sunshine, all of a sudden it took 2 consistent 75-degree days here in Knoxville to where all the buyers are thawed out and they're everywhere. I've done escalator clauses on 3 or 4 different ones in the last few weeks, and I've lost every single one of them because they came in heavily overlisting. And my my contracts were pretty solid. And all of a sudden now this pop. Now you're right. It's not 2022 pop where people are coming in 30 or 40,000 over consistently, but we're already hearing people coming in over listing and sometimes as high as 10 or 15, 20,000 over. So the market, Knoxville is such a confusing market. I would love to say that I know what's going on, because I've been an agent for a couple of years. I know what I'm doing. It really is a crazy change, and interest rates are still high, 5.5%, 6%, 6.5%. And it's, it's been very confusing. And I think we get in our meetings too weekly, and everyone's got a good enough story that they're like, yeah, we lost one here. I lost one here. Came in full asking, no contingencies besides, simple ones, appraisals, inspections, no home sale contingency, 10 or 15% down, 20% down. I still lost it. And it's like, ooh, yeah. So it's back. I mean, if anybody's watching this and they're like wondering what's happening with the Knoxville market and if they should jump in, you probably should jump in, because if not, that neighbor's house that you love, by the time it hits the market, it's probably gone.
Yeah. I think it was Friday. I was going through a house and with a client, and we'd probably seen 10 houses. She was really liking it. And it was a good home for probably that checked a lot of her boxes, but just my head and how it's been the last couple of years. She's like, what's your thoughts on this home? It is a brand new listing. It literally listed, we were in the home and it listed 8 hours ago. And I was like, oh, and honestly, here's what I suggest we come in at. It's probably fine. We probably get a good deal here. I don't think there's a lot of, going to be a lot of activity just on this home. The price point, the location just wasn't checking the typical boxes. And I said, well, hey, let me just call the agent to see kind of what's going on. And then, kind of based on that, call the agent, said, Stephen, we've already got 2 offers. It's like, no freaking way. Like, I did not even see this coming at all. So I go to her now. I'm like, by the way, I know what I just told you where we probably would come in at, probably get a deal done. Yeah, that's not happening. We're going to have to basically be at full ask. I did an escalator clause, 15,000 above ask, and lost. I've lost 3 multiple offer situations in the last 3 weeks, where I bet in 24 and 25, I didn't lose one or potentially never even seen a multiple offer situation in those years. I think you just have a lot of sellers been on the sideline, a lot of equity built up. A lot of people has been staying in a home they maybe didn't like because they were hanging on to that interest rate. But now those people are getting back in the market and they're coming with a lot of equity, if not cash, back in. And so, you really got to watch what this market's doing. And I tell my people, like, you're never going to bother me. You better reach out to me immediately when you see something. Because I've definitely had buyers. Hey, Stephen, I seen this house yesterday and I drove by it. I really like it. I want to go see it. And I'm like, it's already pending. I'm like, you got to let me know immediately. We got to get out there the same day because that's what the market's doing.
Yeah, that's that happened to some clients that I'm in contract with right now. They were the ones that I did escalators on for 2 out of the 3. The third one was just, we didn't even have a chance. But yeah, by the time they would get it to me, I would book the showing. It was pending. And I was like, all right, well, that's kind of frustrating. And then we got to see a few, and one of them was beautiful. And it had been sitting on the market for 100 days. And we're like, oh, now the house is beautiful. The area is great. This is for you guys. I know it's a little bit out of your range, but we can make this work. Well, they had just recently dropped the price from 800 to 750. It was just like this quick. That was originally where they wanted to be, that the agent wanted to be, but the builder didn't. They wanted to be higher. So It sat. So it was it was deceiving. You'd think you'd be able to come in, write your offer up, make sure it's nice and clean, and your clients would get it, right? Well, they dropped the price like 2 days before we got there. So by the time we saw the house and the next day they wanted to put an offer in, I called the agent. She's like, we already have 2 in hand. And I'm like, okay, well, this is ours. This is our third. This is where we're going. And we didn't get it. And they already had 2. They were already kind of negotiating with the first one too. And we were like, okay, this is what's happening in the market now. This is kind of the funny way I've been telling people now. If you like it a lot, if you like this house a lot, odds are other people do. If you're walking in going, it's okay. I mean, I think I can make it work. I might work on it here and there. Sure, that house might sit. But if you walk in and you say you really like it and it flows nicely, things are done, you don't have to do a lot of work to it, and you're excited, other people are too. So it's like we can't sit on our hands anymore. We could a few weeks ago. We could we could a few weeks ago. We could, back in wintertime, but not anymore.
Yep.
I mean, not even possible anymore.
Yeah, I love when the market's kind of just nice and steady and slow to be able like, hey, you guys go home, sleep on it, talk about it, call me tomorrow, we'll see what's going on. And those conversations now are like, hey, like, what's your all's thoughts? Like, is this something you like, or it's going to be pending by tomorrow? Which is just it's wild. It's kind of unpredictable. What's kind of your thoughts? You mentioned the builder, the agent telling them, hey, 750, the builder wanted to be a little bit higher. They lowered it, obviously went. I mean, what's kind of your thoughts for sellers right now? I mean, what are you kind of telling them on, hey, I want to list my home. Should I list my home at, maybe a little bit high? Should I list my home maybe at a good spot, or should I list my home at a lower value to kind of generate? I mean, what's kind of your advice, and what are you typically telling sellers right now?
Well, I mean, it's basically like a triangle in a way. At the point, the top point is the most expensive, but it's also the least amount of buyers. So if you're going to overprice it, you're going to limit yourself in buyers. If you price it right in the middle, you're going to get a nice chunk, of course. If you price it, listen to your agent. Formulate your opinion, because you're the seller and you dictate everything anyway. It doesn't matter. Like, we're here to advise and guide. You are the end, you tell us what to do. But if we're saying it, we should probably list it at this spot or even a little bit lower, you're going to grab, 75 or 80% of the buyers that are right there in that pool. If you overlist it, it could sit. And if it does sit, we've already dealt with this before, it starts at 30, 40 days, 60 days, it starts to get stinky. And now everyone formulates an opinion on why it's not selling. And before they hit the door, they might look around and go, oh, that neighbor's house, that could be why it's not selling. Yeah. And now it's a negative feeling around the home where you just don't want that. So if I have somebody that's ready to list now, they'll tell me where they want to list it. And then I'm going to pull up the comps and see where we can be competitive. And if we can find a middle ground to make the home competitive for the market, that's where you're going to win. Because if you're bringing in more buyers, you could get multiple contracts on it and multiple offers. And now all of a sudden you could get more and more than what you wanted anyway. So that's where I'm really telling people now is just price everything aggressively. But, understand that if you price it a little lower, you might bring in that extra 15, 20% of the buyers that is at the top of their budget. That could get you a little bit more.
Yeah. I think a lot of the conversations with them right now is, hey, I run comps so I can figure out what number I can argue an appraiser, right? To make sure we're confident there. But ultimately, like, I want to see your active competition. That's what I'm kind of focusing on, right? And hey, sure, I may comp your home at X, but if we've got 3 or 4 homes within just a few miles of your that are very competitive at the same price, if not underneath that, we have to consider that, because that's what a buyer is going to compare you to. You have to put yourself in a buyer's shoes. And so they're going to compare, and right now they're still on, for the most part, how can I get the best deal? And that's what they're going to try to go after. So if you don't position yourself early on, and give yourself the heads up against the neighbor, then the neighbor's going to see your house listed after, a couple of days. You've lost that edge, because guess what they're going to do? Whoop, lower it right back down, because they want to be there in that, competitive price point.
That actually happened to one of my listings. The beginning of last year, there were no houses for sale in the neighborhood, right in that little area. And my client wanted to list it pretty high. And in my mind, I was thinking, well, there's not a lot of competition right here. So I think you could have a pretty good shot. That's when the market was very confusing. 24 and 25 were so oddly slow, and then had pockets of pickups where we'd sell a lot. So I did let him know. I was like, that's a little high, but I think with having nobody around to really compare it to, I think we'd be okay. Well, I swear, somebody in the neighborhood, there was like 3 or 4 people that were just begging to not be the first ones to list their house. The moment we listed ours, there were 3 more listed in the neighborhood within a few weeks, and they were all lower than ours.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like everyone was sitting there waiting for the first person to list their house so they could undercut them. And this is exactly what happened. Every single one of those went into contract before ours because they were undercutting us. By the time we lowered ours, and we did, and I'll tell you what, the seller, he was awesome. Every time I asked him about it, it's like, hey, we should probably lower it because this is what's happening. He was all in, which, that's a dream scenario for an agent, to have a seller not even really balk at lowering the price. And he did, and he was awesome. The problem is we just missed that swing every time. We'd lower it, and then another one would pop up even lower. And I was like, what is this game? But that's kind of the reality to it is now I don't see a point of over listing anything. I really don't. Like I want to list it under, if I can, under what the competition is in the neighborhood or real close, because I want them to go to that other house and then come to ours and go, you know what? This one's listed 15,000 under. It's very similar to the other one. Let's go with this one. That's what I want that conversation to be, because it's already happened to me. So I don't want to be on the other side of that.
Yeah. I've got maybe definitely over a year ago now, I had a listing out and they wanted to list it about 30,000 over where I said it needed to be. I told them also, because it's the age of the home, older home, I said, hey, let's do an inspection up front. Let's provide that, right? It'll show all the hidden things. We can get ahead of it. That's what buyers are going to want to see. Of course, didn't listen to me because I know nothing. And it set. 6-month contract is up, and we always say, hey, do you want to renew? No big deal. They said no. They then relisted with another agent, which is completely fine. I've been on both sides of that scenario many times, and the other agent was another very successful agent in the local area who I know and was really good. I've done a lot of deals with her. I always enjoy working with her. So went with another top tier agent. Set there, same price, set there. I looked about a month ago. That was 6 months. Then that 6-month contract expired. They're now with another agent who's again considered like a top 1% agent, and this price is still the same. So you went with 3, what it would be considerably top 1% agents, and your home isn't moving. I'm like, all right, whose fault is this? It's 3 agents, 3 top 10 agents are completely wrong, or are we priced $25,000 to $30,000 overpriced? So sometimes they just got to learn, and I get it. It's the make me move price. But changing agents isn't always the reason why your home isn't selling.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, because before I joined the team, how I got my business was calling expireds and canceled, especially expireds. Yeah. And every time we had the same conversation, we just rebrand and lower the price, or price it just where it really needs to be. Sometimes they were way off. And I was thinking, what are you guys doing? Like, why would you price it out of the range? But there were multiple that I grabbed. We rebranded, we dropped the price, made it competitive, and we were in contract in less than 30 days. I mean, it just happened. It's always price. It always comes back to price. You want it to be competitive for the area, but even you still there?
Yeah. I think my computer lagged there for a second.
You did. You were definitely shaking right now, and you're talking, but like you're bouncing up and down. It always comes down to price, and if you price it correctly or even below what you really think, you're gonna get a ton of eyes on it. And then if we're priced well, the agents represented the property well, we've marketed well, if we've done it all, then maybe I just suck at my job. I don't know. That's the one. Those leave me kind of to the wolves on that one. I look around, I'm like, man. And it's funny because that one was a 6-month contract, the one I was talking about, and he actually relisted with one of my partners that was over at Keller Williams at the time. She was actually the co-agent with me. He relisted with her. And then it actually ended up getting about 15,000 more than we had it at the bottom. But just pulling it off the market and kind of doing a little reset, everyone taking a deep breath, kind of branding again, and then marketing it competitively, the house sold within just a few weeks. So that's who I'm speaking to right now when it comes to the seller side. If you overprice your house and it doesn't just grab that instant attention and get it into contract, if it sits, it does have a stink around it, and it could take 6 months to sell it just because. And then you're right. Then you're firing the agent. You're going to another one. And if you don't lower the price and rebrand and really take a deep breath, it might do the same thing again. And then you're going to do it. I've seen expireds spin around the top for 2 years with 4 different agents, 6 months at a time, 8 months at a time. And it's the same price. And it's like, come on, guys. I mean, if you lower the price, you're going to find the buyers, but you do what you got to do. Now, sometimes people don't listen, which I get it. I'm a little headstrong sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes, you got to let people make their mistakes. And I'll be honest, I'm the first person that's going to jump on that. Like if I'm going to be the person that is going to, if I think something is right, I'm going to be the first person that takes that leap of faith. And when I make a mistake, I'm like, yep, I just got punched in the mouth, made a mistake. I won't do that again. Learned real quick. So sometimes you got to let people do that. Man, appreciate the conversation on real estate. I do want to end on kind of like this question here. Are you an NFL guy or a college guy? Which one's better?
So when I moved out of Vegas in 2009 and pretty much was out there till 2020. Vegas is a huge NFL town, and my whole side of my family is from Texas. So we're a huge Dallas Cowboys fans. Like that's what it is. And so I've been watching the Cowboys since I was, 5. So for the longest time, I would say the NFL was absolutely superior to college until I moved to Knoxville and realized the community around Knoxville, like for the University of Tennessee, like volunteers, it's moved my heart a little bit. I'm starting to enjoy college more and more than I've ever. But I mean, the NFL does have a special part in my soul. So I mean, if I've got to flip a coin, I'm probably watching a Cowboys game first. I have
to. Have you been to Neyland Stadium yet?
I have not even been.
Have you been to Neyland Stadium yet?
I have not, and it's embarrassing to say. Yes,
yeah. I'm not going to say it necessarily compares to Jerry World from like a customer experience, for what the stadium offers, but from a fan experience, man, being around Neyland on an SEC home game, tailgating, Vol Navy, I don't think there's anything to compare. And I've been to a lot of universities. I've been to a lot of NFL games. It's just a different world when you add the college in compared to the NFL. But we get people, of course, all these people that move here, they're like, oh, you're probably a Titans fan. I'm like, dude, no one in Knoxville cares about the Titans. It's not even a conversation. I don't even know where to tell you to go to a store to buy Titans gear. I don't even know where they sell it at.
The amount of people that I've talked to since I moved here in 2020, and I've asked what team who's their team NFL wise, and they've looked at me like, I watch college football. I don't watch NFL at all. The amount of people that's happened like blows me away. I swear it's 9 out of every 10 that is like, I don't watch NFL at all. I only watch college. And I'm so used to being on the other side. But yeah, it's definitely stealing my heart a little bit. Knoxville is definitely my home. It feels like, and my wife and I do not plan on leaving. So we're going to start spending more Saturdays watching games and then hopefully get into the stadium a little bit more. But as of right now, I've got to be out here, navigating sellers and buyers and escalation clauses and earnest money and doing on inspections on Saturdays. So it's going to be tough to get me out there. But one of these days, hey, you got to take the team out. It's one of the games.
Yeah, we'll do a big Vol Navy, and then I'll empty my bank account to buy everybody tickets because that's how much it would cost.
Yeah. I did notice that, like all of a sudden the SEC games are expensive. They're like the NFL costs. I did not expect that. Yeah.
Well, man, thanks for joining us. Appreciate the conversation there. And thank everybody for watching the Hey Everybody podcast. And as always, if y'all ever have any questions, holler anytime.
See you guys.